What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Man, I feel like I have not said that line for just a regular video, not a full story video, in a very long period of time. But we are going to go ahead and continue our coverage over the Punisher. Now, I have been saying this when it came to like the earlier parts of our coverage of the Punisher, that his first few appearances were really more in different Spider-Man comics before he was technically able to get his own comic. And so once again, when it comes to his third appearance ever in Marvel Comics, it took place in Giant Size Spider-Man issue number 4. And in this storyline is him and Spider-Man teaming up together to, fight against a character who become somewhat important for all different types of heroes. The mutants, the Inhumans, and the list goes on and on. And you'll see who it is at like the middle part of this storyline. But it's also the Punisher kind of realizing that Spider-Man is actually a good guy. You'll see what I mean here in a moment. Now, the first few pages of this storyline, it's really more of us kind of picking up with Spider-Man just out in the middle of the night. Now, while he's out there, he does hear a lady scream. So, of course, this is Spider-Man being that hero, kind of figure out what in the world is going on with this lady who's supposedly screaming. But he does see a few guys trying to take her away. So you do have Spider-Man get involved. But while fighting against those guys, he doesn't realize one of them is about to get him from behind. But then at the very last second, you had someone, a sniper, being able to take that guy out as a way to save Spider-Man, but also save her life as well. Now for Peter, he's kind of wondering at first, like, who in the world had just saved my life by being a sniper? Now, of course, you do have the cops arrive as usual, but you do have Peter being able to just get away. But that is when we find out the Punisher was the sniper that had saved Spider-Man's life earlier. Now, here's the thing, because you do have the Punisher head over to his base, right? He had no idea that Spider-Man had snuck in the back of his vehicle. So, of course, when they do arrive at his base and you do have the Punisher open the back of his vehicle, he finds out Spider-Man is there. Now, the reason why earlier I said the Punisher now believes Spider-Man to be a good person is because the last 2 times the Punisher had appeared in Spider-Man comics, he believed that Spider-Man was a killer. Let me explain. You see, around this time in Marvel Comics, when it came to the Punisher, he heard that Spider-Man had killed off Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. And really, to the public, they also believed that Spider-Man was a villain. And so, of course, to Spider-Man, he's kind of like, listen, I'm innocent. And so your last 2 times you had these 2 characters team up, you have Peter prove that he's actually a hero, not a bad guy. And so for now, the Punisher kind of agrees that Peter Parker is a good person. And so this kind of leads into the Punisher explaining why he was there, and luckily there to help out Spider-Man, because that girl is very important. But before he explains, he does hand Peter Parker this gas, a biochemical toxic gas. And so for Peter, he wants to know what in the world is going on here. And so you have the Punisher explain to Peter Parker that this gas came from some type of dealer. And the thing is, if you are able to pay that money to that dealer, then most likely he'll hand the product over. And so in America, they do test out different types of weapons, but not on their own people. But other countries, they don't care. And so we do learn here that there was a country in South America that made a deal with this dealer. And of course, in this video, the Punisher is showing Peter Parker that chemical was being used on like random people in that country. And of course, this biochemical had killed them off just like that. Now for Peter Parker, he does get very upset, like very angry. And so you have the Punisher having no choice but to go ahead and tranquilize him. And so as we get into the ending for chapter 1, by this point we see that Spider-Man and the Punisher had agreed to work together. Now, you have the Punisher realize where the product is coming from. And basically it's coming from Deterrence Research Group. But here is the big catch. You see, this company or group is being led by a guy known as Moses Magnum. Now, Moses Magnum becomes a very important character for a lot of different things, the X-Men, other Avenger characters, like he becomes somewhat important. But either way, this was his first appearance ever in Marvel Comics. And you'll see him here in a moment. And so, of course, we finally see the Punisher in action. Yeah, I know you mean like the sniper earlier was him in action. No, I mean seeing the Punisher really in action, breaking through a window by himself while you have Peter Parker go a different way. And you have the Punisher just showing us how cool he is with all his different weapons and being able to take a few guys down. And so this is where we kind of get into like most of the pages being used for action, because as we jump over to Spider-Man, it's him right now just at the top of the building, working his way over to Moses. And matter of fact, after you do have Spider-Man being able to fight off a few guards, you do have Peter Parker run into Moses Magnum. Now, when it came to Moses, he was in the middle of another meeting, of course, making another big deal. But right now, his main focus is to get rid of Spider-Man. And so to wrap up chapter 2 of this storyline, really all 3 chapters are in one single issue, but for chapter 2 of this storyline, you do have the guards being able to defeat Spider-Man, and you do have Moses say, hey, listen, somebody had cut the power, which means Spider-Man here is not alone. So let's go ahead and grab him and get him the heck out of here. And so you have Moses tell his people like, hey, listen, our meeting got to continue on down the road. I'm sorry, my clients. And you do have Moses leave with Spider-Man. And so to start off part 3 of the storyline, we pick up with Spider-Man arriving in some country now, or really some camp in a different country. Now, all these different people, of course, prisoners to Moses Magnum. But as soon as Spider-Man arrives and being able to get to his bunk bed, he's then called away to meet up with Moses Magnum. Now, when it comes to their meeting, you have Moses try to be friendly at first with Peter, but this is Peter Parker, so of course, he's somewhat of a jerk to his villains. And so you do have Moses get a tad bit angry, but when he does unmask Peter Parker. Now, when it came to Punisher, he made sure to change the appearance of Peter Parker. And so right now for Moses, what he sees is not Peter Parker. And he tries to get a photo of this fake looking Peter Parker and says, hey, listen, you know what? After I kill you, I'm going to use your photo to get any information about you. And once I do find all that information, then I'll go after your loved ones as well. But again, the picture he has right now of Peter Parker, his appearance looks completely different. Now, once you do have Spider-Man be sent back over to his bunker, this begins the real plan of the Punisher and Spider-Man. Now, the rest of this book is really more of us seeing Spider-Man and Punisher working together as they both go after Moses Magnum. Now, here's the thing, because the way the book ends, you're kind of left to believe that Moses is officially dead, because the way the book ends, you do have the same chemical gas that he was creating earlier in the book fall on top of him. And so you do have the book kind of show us like, hey, Moses is officially dead and we can move on. But here's the thing, because later on in Marvel's timeline, they're going to retcon the fact that Moses did survive. And of course, you didn't have Marvel use this character over and over again. But for Punisher and Spider-Man, they watch Moses die and they believe that he is officially dead. But in reality, he is not. But either way, you do have the two characters go their separate ways. But is Spider-Man kind of realizing that Punisher is somebody who's not afraid to cross that line? Really, in the first 2 appearances of the Punisher, you kind of get that idea when it came to him. Like, you're kind of like, he does seem a tad bit extreme, but it doesn't seem like he will cross the line. This issue right here kind of showed like, no, the Punisher is not afraid to cross the line when it comes to killing off different criminals. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.